When I'm doing a model mentoring, I like to spend a lot of time with the model, getting to learn the model and what makes her tick. I want to build a strong, character-driven lifestyle narrative. What is her conflict? What is her passion? What makes her tick? It's the act one where you're establishing her character and what's at stake for her. So tell me about this shirt, Convention of States.
Convention of States is an awesome grassroots organization, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that's working together to call an Article 5 Convention of States, which will be the first time in history.
So, what does this have to do with you as America Honey?
America Honey is all about freedom and protecting our freedom. So, Article 5 was written into the Constitution and gives the people the right to call an Article 5 Convention of States when the powers that be start to get too tyrannical. You know, because they kind of thought that might happen at some point, and so we have to go through this process of agreement, and it takes a long time. It's not easy. There's no risk because it is such a long process. But I'm all about freedom, so it's important to ensure our freedom and what the framers of the Constitution intended. And that can only be preserved when the people, it is we the people. And so when the government starts to get too tyrannical, we call an Article 5 Convention of States.
With America Honey, I found this woman behind the model with a unique lifestyle and perspective on life that was kind of refreshing. She's a free thinker, something that you don't often find with models, and very passionate about what she thinks. How did you, as a model, become so involved? Like, why do you care?
I care because this country that people take for granted gave me everything that I have, and my ability to be a model and have fun and express myself and be an individual. And without all of that, I wouldn't be able to be that. And I think people have taken our freedoms for granted, and so they don't realize. So I care about that, because if we lose our personal freedoms, which have already been slowly taken away, of course there's people fighting back like me, thank God, but we won't have America anymore. And people sometimes forget we're the only country that has freedom of speech. There are sort of versions out there, but no one actually has that freedom of speech like we do.
What inspired America Honey to get involved with this?
I felt restricted by the lockdowns. They were tyrannical and insane. Being persecuted, being socially treated like a social outcast because I refused to be part of the experiment, and that, you know, the powers that be giving people incentives to be part of an experiment, and that was unproven and dangerous, as we're seeing, and just the total overreach and violation of our Constitution all over the place. And that affected my personal life. I've lost friends and family members because of these beliefs, and I'm not going to be caught up in this, cult, brainwashing, military-grade propaganda nonsense. And that's all part of the secular religion. I'm not interested in any of that.
I think for America Honey, her conflict is, how does she live a life of truth in a world where people just blindly go along with whatever they're told and settle for the average as the norm to avoid conflict? Her conflict is that she doesn't avoid conflict. Her conflict is that she embraces conflict and makes it her lifestyle. Do other models share the same view?
I think it's some do, some don't. Obviously, the cool ones do.
What would you say to those other models out there who are afraid to make a stand like you?
That's a great question. It's super important, especially now more than ever, to be bold and unafraid. And that's part of who I am, is boldness and fearlessness. So I would say to them, if you're afraid you're going to lose a job or lose a friend, or who cares? Because it's worth it. Sometimes you have to not be short-sighted and see the big picture. I mean, you should never be short-sighted. And be bold and courageous. If you don't stand up for what's right, if you don't stand up for a principle, then you're part of the problem and you need to get out of the way. You know, people wonder what they would do during World War II or any time where there's been a massive tyranny, and whatever you're doing right now is what you do. So those that are looking the other way, those that are in denial and not wanting to see the truth, that's exactly what you would do then. You would be looking the other way. You would be throwing me and other people like me under the bus. So good riddance to you. These people who are afraid, they need to have their moment of looking into the mirror and wake up. And if they can't do that, then they need to just get out of the way, because they are part of the problem.
So would you say modeling for you now is about standing for something more than just being pretty?
Absolutely. It's about boldness, courage, strength, celebrating your own individualism, uniqueness, celebrating freedom and your ability to even work and make a living at hopefully what you choose.
So you're using modeling as a platform for your passion now?
That's right. It's a lot more than just appearance. It's being an example. It's giving other people's courage to stand up.